My dear friends, today we gather here to reflect on an essential truth that has been passed down through the generations: the strength, the beauty, and the power of women. Now, I want you to listen carefully, because the words I speak come from a place of understanding, rooted in faith and in the wisdom of life. These truths are timeless, and as women of strength and grace, they serve as reminders for your own journey through life. There are three things that a woman should always hide from the world around her. I understand that this may sound strange at first, and maybe some of you will wonder why it is necessary to hide anything at all. But remember this: God has given each of us a unique purpose, a distinct role, and a way of living that brings honor to Him. And just as He has given men roles and responsibilities, He has fashioned women to be wise and discerning. Women have been endowed with gifts that are not to be shown to the world indiscriminately, but cherished, protected, and revealed at the right moment. The first thing a woman should always hide is her heart. Yes, her heart, the most precious part of her being. The world will tell you to wear your heart on your sleeve, to expose it to every person who crosses your path, to reveal every feeling and every emotion. But I say to you today, dear woman, that your heart is something sacred. It is a wellspring of emotion, of love, of tenderness. It is not to be thrown about carelessly or to be given away to anyone who asks for it. You see, the heart is a treasure chest, and like any treasure, it should be guarded. Why? Because your heart holds within it the deepest parts of your soul. It holds your dreams, your desires, your pains, and your hopes. And if you give your heart to every person who crosses your path, you may find that it becomes chipped, broken, or even shattered. There is a place, a secret place, where only God can see and understand the full depths of your heart. You don't need to share it with the world to prove your worth. God knows your heart, and that is enough. Trust Him to protect it, to nurture it, to make it whole. He will guard it better than anyone else could. The second thing a woman should always hide is her plans. The world today is quick to tell us about the power of publicizing every step, every move, every dream. Go public with your dreams, they say. Let everyone know your plans, your future, your path. But again, I tell you that there is wisdom in silence. There is strength in holding your plans close to your chest, letting them be between you and your Creator. We live in a world that seeks to tear down the very foundations of our dreams. The moment you share your plans, the moment you let others into your sacred space, you open the door for doubt, for criticism, for negativity to enter. People may mock you, they may scoff at your dreams, or they may try to discourage you. And if you are not careful, you might lose sight of what God has placed in your heart. A woman of wisdom understands that some plans need to be nurtured in the silence of her soul, waiting for the appointed time when the world will see the beauty of what has been birthed in her heart. This is not to say that you should keep your dreams locked away forever, but there is power in waiting. There is power in working quietly, diligently, and faithfully. Let God direct your steps, and He will open the doors at the right moment. Until then, keep your plans between you and Him. The third thing a woman should always hide is her strength. Now, this might sound counterintuitive. We live in a society that celebrates strength, the power of women who are unyielding, who push forward, who stand tall. But I challenge you to consider that true strength, the kind that stands the test of time, is not always visible. In fact, much of the strength of a woman lies in her ability to remain humble, gentle, and kind. True strength does not need to be broadcasted. It does not need to be proven to others. It simply is. There is strength in the quiet endurance of a mother raising her children in the fear of the Lord. There is strength in the silent prayers of a woman who lifts her loved ones before God day after day. There is strength in a woman who endures hardship, who suffers with grace, who perseveres through trials with an unwavering faith. You need to wear your strength as a badge of honor for the world to see. You don't need to boast of your accomplishments or your endurance. God sees your strength, and that is what matters. It is often said that a woman's strength is most evident in her ability to love and serve, to give of herself without expecting anything in return. True strength is the ability to rise each day with grace, to endure each challenge with faith, and to trust in God's plan, even when the road is rough. This strength is not something that needs to be flaunted for others to see. It is a quiet power, an unspoken force that moves mountains and shapes lives. Now you might ask, why hide these things, these gifts that God has given us? Well, let me tell you, dear woman, it is not a matter of weakness, but of wisdom. There is power in hiddenness. There is power in restraint. In a world that celebrates instant gratification, the ability to hold back, to wait, to guard, and to protect those things which are most sacred is a powerful testimony of the wisdom that God gives to those who seek Him. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Ephesians, tells us that we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works which God prepared in advance for us to do. This means that each of us, men and women alike, are created for a purpose. And God has equipped women with an inner strength, a deep wisdom, and a tender heart to fulfill that purpose in a way that brings glory to Him. In the quietness of your heart, in the privacy of your plans, in the hiddenness of your strength, you become a reflection of the glory of God. You become a living testimony of His grace and His wisdom. When you learn to hide these things, you demonstrate that you understand that God's timing is perfect. His plans are good, and His strength is made perfect in weakness. And I want you to know that in your quietness, in your hiddenness, you are not alone. God is with you. He walks beside you. He guides you. And the beauty of your life, the beauty of your womanhood, is not found in what the world sees, but in what God sees. He sees the treasure of your heart, the purity of your plans, and the power of your hidden strength. So, my dear sisters, I encourage you to guard these things with all your might. Do not be swayed by the pressures of the world. Do not be influenced by the voices that tell you to expose all, to reveal all, to shout your worth from the mountaintops. Instead, let your worth be measured by the quiet way you live, by the strength you carry in the silence, by the love you give without expectation. When you do this, you will find that you are walking in the fullness of God's purpose for your life. You will find that your life is not only a testimony to those around you, but to the world that needs to see the power of a woman who walks in the wisdom of God. And when the time comes when God in His perfect timing reveals your heart, your plans, and your strength, the world will stand in awe of the beautiful work He has done in you. So let us not be quick to expose what is sacred. Let us hide those things that God has given us, trusting in His perfect timing, trusting that He is preparing us for the work He has planned. Let us walk with strength and grace, knowing that our true worth is found not in the approval of men, but in the loving gaze of our Creator. May God bless each of you with the wisdom to hide these things and the courage to walk in His purpose for your life. Your heart is the very core of who you are. It is where your deepest emotions, desires, and dreams reside. In this world, people will often encourage you to wear your heart on your sleeve, to share every feeling, every desire, and every fear with others. The world may suggest that being vulnerable and open with everyone is a form of strength, but the truth is that not every person deserves to see the innermost part of you. Your heart is not a commodity to be given freely to anyone who asks for it. It is a treasure, a sacred place that should be guarded with wisdom and care. Why should you protect your heart? The heart, in its most vulnerable form, is susceptible to hurt. The world is filled with individuals who may not understand its value, and there are many who either intentionally or unintentionally could wound it. If you allow every person you meet access to your heart, you might find it becoming damaged, torn, or even broken. The heart is the source of your emotions, and when it is exposed to the wrong people, it can become clouded with bitterness, regret, or confusion. God has given women a unique capacity for love and empathy, and while these qualities are beautiful, they can also make a woman more susceptible to emotional pain. We live in a world where relationships often come and go, and people's intentions may not always be pure. It's important to remember that not everyone who asks for a piece of your heart deserves to hold it. The depth of your heart, its purity and tenderness are not for the taking. They must be nurtured and cared for. Your heart is meant to be shared in the right relationships. Just as you would protect a delicate treasure, you should carefully choose the people who have access to your heart. It's not about building walls or refusing to connect with others. It's about discerning where your heart will be safe, where it will be cared for and appreciated. When you give your heart, give it to those who will honor it, those who will protect it and treat it with the respect it deserves. In the same way that God protects your heart, you must also be a guardian of it. This does not mean that you should become cold or distant. It means you must be wise in choosing who you allow to enter into your emotional world. God has gifted you with the ability to love deeply and compassionately, but He also calls you to be discerning. Just as you wouldn't throw your pearls before swine, you should not expose your heart to people who do not recognize its worth. Protecting your heart does not make you weak. It makes you wise. It is an act of preserving the sacredness of who you are and trusting that God will guide you to the right relationships, the ones that will honor, nurture, and respect your heart. When you guard your heart, you are also protecting your peace. Your heart is where your emotional stability comes from, and when it is entrusted to the wrong people or exposed too freely, it can create turbulence in your soul. Guarding your heart ensures that you remain grounded, calm, and focused on the purpose God has set before you. Through this protection, you allow God to shape your heart, to heal it, and to make it whole so that you can truly give it when the time is right and to the right people. Remember that your heart is not just for the taking. It is a precious gift, a sacred treasure, and you have the responsibility to protect it with all the wisdom and care you possess. When you do this, you honor both the gift God has given you and the work He is doing in you. In a world that celebrates openness and transparency, it can feel tempting to share every one of your dreams and plans with others. People often encourage you to let your ambitions be known, to speak your desires into existence, and to surround yourself with people who will cheer you on. However, there is an immense power in keeping your plans close to your heart, holding them privately between you and God until the right time. When you reveal your plans too early, you open the door to external influences that may derail or discourage your progress. People, no matter how well-meaning, might offer advice, criticism, or even doubts that cause you to question the very vision you have for your life. By keeping your plans private, you protect them from the uninvited opinions of others. Not everyone who hears your dreams will understand them or support them, and some may even try to talk you out of them, not realizing that these dreams have been placed in your heart by God. The moment you share something precious and personal with someone who does not appreciate it, it can lead to feelings of discouragement, confusion, or even fear. There is wisdom in waiting. Sometimes it is best to allow your plans to grow in silence and solitude, just as a seed grows beneath the soil before it bursts forth into the open. When you keep your plans to yourself, you give God the space to mold them according to His will, not according to the opinions of others. Trusting Him to shape your journey allows you to remain faithful to the purpose He has set before you without getting distracted by the noise of the world. In addition, when you keep your plans private, you give yourself the opportunity to build them with greater clarity and intention. Too often, people feel the pressure to reveal their next steps to others before they are ready, which can lead to confusion, half-formed ideas, or even doubts about the path they're taking. Allowing your plans to develop in the quiet of your own heart provides the space to refine them, pray over them, and seek God's guidance without feeling rushed or pressured by outside opinion. There's also a level of humility in keeping your plans private. Not every good idea or vision needs to be shared immediately. Not every step of your journey requires public validation. Humility allows you to remain grounded in the work you're doing, focusing on the task at hand without seeking constant praise or attention. The quiet pursuit of your plans demonstrates trust in God, knowing that He will bring them to fruition in His perfect timing without needing your own accolades along the way. Moreover, when you keep your plans between you and God, you protect your peace. By sharing your dreams with others, you can inadvertently open yourself up to unnecessary stress or pressure. People may ask questions that you don't have answers for yet, or they may offer unsolicited opinions that confuse or overwhelm you. Keeping your plans private ensures that you are not swayed by the external pressures of the world, and that you can remain focused on the path ahead, guided by your faith and trust in God's direction. Your plans are a reflection of your heart's deepest desires, and they deserve to be treated with respect and care. Not every person needs to know what you're working on or where you're going. By keeping your plans private, you give them the chance to grow in God's time, shielded from negative influences and unnecessary distraction. Trust that in His perfect timing, the right people will be brought into your journey at the right moment, and the doors that need to open will do so at the exact time He intends. Until then, let your plans be your sacred work, quietly developed, trusted to God, and revealed when He knows the time is right. True strength is often misunderstood in a world that values outward displays of power and control. Society encourages the visible, the loud, the obvious expressions of strength, whether it's in physical form, in leadership, or in the way people demand attention for their accomplishments. But the strongest women often don't need to show off their power. Their strength is quiet, unassuming, and deeply rooted in inner conviction and faith. It's not measured by how loudly they speak or how much attention they command. It is displayed in their resilience, their grace under pressure, and their ability to hold firm in the face of adversity. A woman's true strength lies in her ability to endure. It is found in the times when no one is watching, in the hours she spends in quiet prayer, in the decisions she makes when no one is there to applaud or recognize her efforts. It is in the way she serves others, often without seeking acknowledgement, and in her capacity to give of herself without expecting anything in return. This strength is most powerful when it is hidden, because it is not about proving anything to the world, but simply being who she is in the eyes of God. Women are often called to be the backbone of families, communities, and churches, but the weight of these responsibilities can be overwhelming at times. True strength is not in how much one can carry on her own, but in how she leans into God for help, how she trusts in His strength to sustain her. A woman who is able to admit her vulnerability, who can say, "I need help," is often the strongest among us, for she recognizes that her strength comes not from her own abilities, but from the grace of God. There is great power in being a woman of quiet strength, one who does not seek to boast or demand recognition, but lets her actions speak for themselves. She leads by example, inspiring others with her calm demeanor, her steady faith, and her unshakable trust in God's plan. In a world that tells women to shout their achievements from the rooftops, the woman who quietly does her work with humility, integrity, and grace becomes a silent but powerful force. Strength is also found in the ability to forgive, to let go of past hurts, and to choose peace over bitterness. It takes great courage to walk away from conflict and to choose to love rather than hold on to grudges. This kind of strength is not flashy, but it is powerful. The ability to forgive, to offer compassion even when wronged, and to remain humble in the face of criticism reveals a deeper strength than any outward show of power ever could. True strength in a woman also involves self-control. It's the strength to say no when necessary, to set boundaries that protect her emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. In a world that demands constant giving, constant doing, and constant proving, the ability to say no and protect one's own peace is a profound expression of strength. Women are often taught to put others first, but part of true strength is recognizing when to prioritize yourself and your own health so you can continue to serve others from a place of wholeness and peace. There is also strength in endurance. When life gets difficult, when circumstances are less than ideal, it takes a quiet form of strength to keep moving forward. It is the ability to take one more step, to endure one more day, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. It is the strength to hold on to faith when the road ahead seems uncertain, to keep trusting that God has a plan, even when you can't see the way. It's the kind of strength that doesn't seek applause or recognition, but continues steadfastly in the knowledge that God is with you every step of the way. The woman who has learned to hide her strength is not one who is weak, but one who understands the true nature of power. She doesn't need to announce her strength to the world because it flows naturally from a heart that is fully surrendered to God. Her strength is a testimony to God's grace, to the resilience He builds in her when she chooses to walk in faith, humility, and trust. It is a quiet power, hidden but undeniable, and it changes the world around her. There is something profound about the power of hiddenness. In a world that thrives on visibility and instant recognition, it can be tempting to believe that the more we expose ourselves, the more influence or success we will gain. We are told to show off our talents, broadcast our achievements, and be as present as possible. But in truth, there is great strength in waiting, in working in the quiet places where no one sees, and in allowing God to shape your character and purpose out of the public eye. When you embrace hiddenness, you are allowing God to work in you without the distractions of the world. There is beauty in working in silence, knowing that your labor does not need to be seen to be valuable. In this world, too often, we seek affirmation from others, believing that our worth is determined by how many people know what we're doing or how much attention we can gather. But the truth is, some of the most meaningful work in the kingdom of God is done out of the spotlight, often by those who labor in quiet faithfulness. Hiddenness also provides the space for growth and refinement. When you are not focused on gaining the approval of others or seeking outward recognition, you are free to pursue the work God has called you to with purity and diligence. It is in the hidden moments that God can refine your character, strengthen your faith, and develop your talents in ways that would not be possible if you were constantly worried about what others think. This period of hiddenness is like the preparation stage for a work that will one day be revealed. Just as a seed must grow deep beneath the earth before it sprouts into a tree, your work in the hidden places is preparing you for a time when your efforts will bear fruit and be seen by the world. Embracing hiddenness also gives you the opportunity to develop patience. It is difficult to wait, to be patient, when we feel like we have something important to share or when we long for others to notice our work. But God teaches us that His timing is perfect. There is a season for everything. And sometimes the hidden season is the most important one. It is during these times that we learn to rely on God's timing, not our own. We trust that He knows when the moment is right for us to step forward, and we allow Him to lead us in His perfect way. When we embrace hiddenness, we also learn humility. It is easy to become prideful when we receive praise or recognition for our work, but when we are working in private, there is no room for pride. Our efforts are not for the sake of public acknowledgement or personal glory. Instead, they are done in faith for the sake of doing God's will and fulfilling the purpose He has set before us. This kind of humility allows us to grow in grace, to learn to serve others without needing the world to see what we are doing. Hiddenness also protects us from the harmful effects of comparison. When we are constantly looking at others and measuring our progress against theirs, we can easily become discouraged or envious. But in the hidden places, there is no one else to compare ourselves to. We are free to grow at our own pace, following the path God has set before us without the pressure of competition. We can focus solely on what He is doing in our lives, trusting that He is working all things for our good. Embracing hiddenness teaches us to trust God with the outcome. When our work is hidden, we are not in control of when or how it will be revealed. But by choosing to work in secret, we acknowledge that the results are in God's hands. We trust that He will bring our efforts to light when the time is right. And in the meantime, we focus on being faithful in the small, unseen moments. This is a powerful lesson in surrender. Surrendering our need for recognition, our desire for control, and our longing for approval, and trusting that God sees and knows all that we do. Hiddenness, then, is not a punishment or a burden. It is a sacred opportunity to grow, to be shaped, and to learn the deeper lessons of faith. It is in the quiet moments, away from the world's gaze, that God can do His most powerful work in us. So embrace the hidden seasons of your life, knowing that in due time God will reveal what He has been cultivating in the secret places. And when that moment comes, it will be for His glory, not yours, and you will stand in awe of how beautifully He has worked through you. In a world that constantly demands more of you, it can be easy to forget that your worth is not determined by what others think or by your public success. It is so tempting to measure your value by how much you are recognized, by how many people see your accomplishments, or by how loud your presence is in the world. However, the truth is that your true worth comes from God's purpose for your life, and when you walk in alignment with that purpose, it becomes clear that His vision for you is far greater than anything the world could offer. When you embrace the idea that your value is not dependent on the approval of others, you step into a freedom that cannot be shaken. The opinions of the world will always fluctuate, and the applause of men is fleeting. People may lift you up one day and tear you down the next, but God's opinion of you remains constant. He sees your heart, your struggles, your dreams, and your potential. His love for you is unchanging, and your worth is secure in Him, regardless of how the world perceives you. To walk in God's purpose is to trust that He has a unique plan for your life, a plan that is far beyond human understanding. God created you for a purpose that only you can fulfill. Your talents, your experiences, and your heart have been specifically designed to contribute to His kingdom in a way that no one else can. When you understand this, you stop measuring your life by external standards. You stop comparing your progress to others and start walking confidently in the path God has set before you. It is easy to fall into the trap of comparison. With social media and the constant stream of updates about what others are doing, it can feel like everyone around you is moving forward faster or achieving more. But when you remember that your worth is not found in comparison, you find peace. The journey that God has for you is unique to you. He doesn't need you to follow anyone else's timeline or walk in someone else's footsteps. His timing is perfect, and He is orchestrating your steps in a way that will lead you to fulfill the specific purpose He has for your life. When you walk in the purpose that God has set for you, you are free from the need for external validation. You do not need to constantly seek affirmation or approval from others because you know that your true identity is found in God alone. This freedom allows you to work with integrity, to serve with humility, and to love others without expecting anything in return. It allows you to remain focused on what God is doing in your life rather than getting distracted by what others think of you or your progress. God's purpose for your life is also deeply tied to the calling He has placed within you. Each of us has a unique calling, an area where our passions, gifts, and talents align with God's will. When you begin to walk in that calling, you experience a deep sense of fulfillment and peace that comes from knowing you are doing what you were created to do. This fulfillment does not depend on how the world sees your work or how much recognition you receive. It comes from knowing that you are walking in God's will and making a difference in the world in your own unique way. Furthermore, walking in God's purpose helps you endure the trials and challenges that life brings. When you know that your life has a higher purpose, you can endure difficulties with a sense of hope and faith. You are not living for the approval of others. So when things get tough, you can trust that God is still working in your life, even if the outcome is not immediately clear. The world may measure success by temporary milestones. But when you walk in God's purpose, you know that there is something much greater waiting for you, something eternal and unshakable. Your worth, therefore, is not a reflection of what you do or how much you are seen. It is found in your relationship with God and in walking the path He has laid out for you. Your value is intrinsic and secure in Him. No external validation can add to or take away from your worth because you are already deeply loved and valued by the Creator of the universe. When you live according to God's purpose, you live with a sense of purpose that goes beyond the fleeting desires of this world. It is a purpose that will sustain you, guide you, and bring you peace regardless of the circumstance. As we reflect on the journey that every woman is called to walk, we realize that the essence of a woman's strength, grace, and purpose lies not in the external validation the world offers, but in the quiet, sacred spaces where God shapes her heart. We must remember that there is power in hiddenness, power in protecting what is most precious to us, power in embracing silence when the world is loud, and power in walking humbly in the knowledge that God's timing and His plan are greater than anything we could engineer for ourselves. A woman who hides her heart, her plans, her strength, and her purpose is not one who is weak or passive. Rather, she is one who knows her worth is not measured by the approval of others or by outward accomplishments, but by the grace and wisdom that come from walking faithfully with God. She is one who understands that not everything needs to be seen to be valued. Not everything needs to be shared to be meaningful. Her heart is reserved for the one who truly sees her, and her plans are trusted to his timing. She carries her strength with quiet dignity, knowing that it is God who strengthens her in the hidden moments, preparing her for the right time to step forward. This journey requires patience and trust. Trust that the work God is doing in your life, unseen by others, is far more significant than anything you could accomplish through your own efforts. Hiddenness allows God to refine you, to develop your character, and to equip you for a life that aligns with his greater purpose. As you walk in this divine hiddenness, you will find that your worth is secure. Not because of what the world sees, but because of the unshakable truth that God's love and purpose for you are steadfast and eternal. So, embrace the quiet strength that comes from knowing your worth in God's eyes, and trust that as you walk in his purpose for your life, he will reveal the fullness of your potential at the right time. Let this be your encouragement. You are enough. You are loved. You are called. And in the hiddenness of your journey, God is preparing you for a purpose that will bring glory to his name and blessings to those around you. Keep walking in faith, knowing that your value, strength, and purpose come from him alone.